Oh, we are here after the confession with your favorite sisters and our newest sister, Susie Singer Carter. We were dancing our way in.
That's true.
Oh, you're watching this. I keep thinking ABBA and Dancing Queen.
Oh my God.
Queen.
I am such an ABBA fanatic. Get out of here.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I love me some ABBA. I don't care.
God.
I don't care.
You know what? I'm going to
don't
tell you
care.
right now. Emily and I, so youngest sister and I, true story, we would go up to Gatlinburg because we're from outside Knoxville, Tennessee. We would go to Gatlinburg on Friday and Saturday because, that's where Dolly lives and we want to be besties with Dolly one day.
Who doesn't? I met her, by the way. I worked with her. Oh my God. You hug her and her boobies are so big. And she's so sweet. She goes, oh my God, you're just so cute. She said that to me. And I was like, what? And then we hugged, she hugged. And you can only go this far because her boobies are so big. You can't get close to them. Her boobies are the biggest boobies I've ever seen. And she is so delicious. She is the most heavenly human you'll ever meet.
She is, you know what? She is such a kind human being. And we consider her a sister and she doesn't even know it. And so, but I will tell you, I mean, I don't even know where we're going. We started talking about, I kept thinking about her. Go ahead.
ABBA. We were talking about ABBA.
Yeah.
Oh,
you and Natalie, you and Emily dancing.
So Emily and I, sorry about that, sidetracked. I was like, oh, Dolly. And I was thinking about her and the Cowboys when she sang last year. But anyway, Emily and I used to go cruising up on Friday and Saturday night. I have no clue why our parents let us. We were completely should not have done that. My parents made a bad decision. We did not get killed as evidenced by, but we had so much fun. But when we would start, we got to Pigeon Forge and we got ready to get into the cruise line, basically. Dancing Queen was the first song. The windows went down, Dancing Queen comes on, and we sang as loud as we could. And that started our night.
That was the freedom song.
I love it.
So I want to get serious here. I want to get serious because I want to talk about, because I really want to talk about the new film. So I know you had the short film, but I want to talk about the new film. And because I know I've seen lots about it. I've seen the short on it, fundraising. Tell me about why this film is so important.
Why'd you do it? Yep.
Why'd you do it?
Right. So 2022, my mom was admitted into the hospital in January in 2022, still COVID. And she was admitted with a stage 4 bed sore, and which had turned into sepsis because that's what happens when you don't care for it, and into pneumonia and all these other, acuities and comorbidities because of this bed sore that I had no idea had been forming. And by the time she was in the hospital, I mean, it was just an avalanche of horrible things that were happening. Yeah. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I couldn't get this 5-star facility here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I'm sure this wasn't low end.
No, we're in the 5-star facility in Los Angeles. Yeah. And, and mind you, already we've gone through 2 years now of COVID, and I didn't see my mom in person for over a year. And I started to see her declining, because we could only Zoom once a week. And so by the time, the couple weeks we're in, and I would start seeing my mom at 3 p.m. Now she was immobile, but she was in a wheelchair. She wasn't bedridden and very social. She's in bed at 3 p.m. every week. And I'm saying, why is mom in bed? Well, I don't know, Susie. I don't know, the CNA would say. And I'm wondering, we're getting text messages and phone calls every day saying, 7 staff members have been, tested positive for COVID and are quarantining for 2 weeks. I'm thinking, who is taking care of the people? Well, they weren't. They weren't.
They weren't.
And I don't want to take too long because it's a long story, but it was a 6-month journey of so many horrible things that happened where my mom was put into the hospital. I couldn't be in the hospital because of COVID. And they intubated her when she didn't need to be intubated. They gave her a G tube, which is a feeding tube through the stomach surgically. When she didn't need that, she was eating fine. And you don't need a G tube if you're intubated, by the way, because it's a temporary. This is because of the pneumonia. She probably didn't need it, but here, what I've come to find out looking back now, there's ableism so much in our society and in our healthcare system. And that when I talk about ableism, it's people that have strokes, there's people that can't talk, there are people that are not respected for having any value in our society, and that's people with dementia and elderly people. So there's ageism and ableism that plays against you. So, what are they going to do? If you hook her up to a bunch of machines, including an internal Foley catheter, and never take these things out, all you have to do is lay her in bed and see what happens. They don't have to feed her. They don't have to, make sure she has oxygen. They don't have to do anything. She's like, and it's like, who wants to live like that? That's not quality of life. That's not quality of life. And I kept fighting, she was out of the hospital. The hospital's telling me she needs to have, and by the way, just back it up a second. There is a list of never events from from CMS, which is, Medicare and Medicaid. And there's never events that are never to happen in hospitals or nursing homes, long-term care. And number one, the hallmark of neglect is a bed sore.
Yeah.
They can start, you can see, but as soon as you see anything like a tiny, if you've been leaning on your arm too long, you move your arm because it hurts, right? Well, that's what they're there for. That's their job. That's one of the jobs. UTIs are not, they are not, well, they're old, they get UTIs. No, they don't. UTIs come from not taking people to the restroom often enough, leaving them to sit in their urine, and so on and so forth. And so, I was being gaslit. I was being told, this is what happens to older people. This is the best thing for your mom. I'm knowing in my heart that this is not the best thing for my mom. But every time I would try to get some kind of help, they would say, they would just go, we'll look into it. We'll look into it, and just push it off. And in the meantime, my mom's suffering. It's torturous, this kind of lifestyle where, they decided that she was aspirating, so they're not going to give her anything by mouth, which is NPO. What? I was sneaking in and giving her, she wasn't aspirating, she wasn't choking, nothing. They just didn't want to take the time. So now you cut to, why didn't they want to take the time? Because the business model is based on understaffing.
Yes, it's ratio based.
That's right. So they are not staffed up to properly be able to care for the amount of residents that they bring in. And this is across the boards. This is not to throw any nursing homes under the bus. This is to say that there is a higher power that's manipulating all of this.
Federal regulations.
Well, it's not, and I'll tell you something.
And state regulations. Federal and state regulations. The states dictate their regulations for the congregate settings.
True enough, but let me take it even farther. It's the business model. So you've got a lot of private equity, which is 70% of our long-term care is owned by private equity. 70%. In California, it's 90% where I'm at. So there are very good regulations. There's no oversight. There's no enforcement. And whatever penalty that does get imposed, it's the cost of doing business. It's worked into the budget. And these companies are extracting profit out of our money, which is Medicare and Medicaid. And they've learned how to game the system. And this isn't new. This has been going on for decades and decades and decades. And it's getting worse because of ageism, because of ableism. The public doesn't really pay attention to our elderly and our disabled. And so we hope they're being taken care of. We don't really know. Well, they're not. I'm here to tell you they're not for the most part. And the people that want to do a good job, there's plenty of frontline providers and healthcare workers that want to do a good job and can't because they're overworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
And they're going home every night with moral injury because they can't do the job they want to do. They're leaving the industry in droves. And like one of our experts who is a geriatrician, I don't know if you know Dr. Z Miriam, she's amazing, but she is a very big advocate for her industry in terms of doctors and nurses. The suicide rate is off the charts every day because it's become such big business and the oversight is practically zero. So there are good federal regulations and state regulations. They're just not being enforced. And why aren't they being enforced? Because there's an incredibly strong lobby. And the lobby doesn't work for the people, the nursing homes. They work for the owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're very powerful. They're more powerful than our pharmaceutical lobby, which is incredibly powerful. So if that gives you an idea, how do we not know that? Because nobody cares about older people, for the most part. We know that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, I ran a locked secure treatment facility for adolescents on and off for 7 years. I had 3 facilities I was CEO at. And I know what my regulations are for children. And so when our mom went into skilled nursing, it was very different. And so while there are regs, yes, the nursing ratios, I can tell you this, they are not as good as they should be, in my opinion. They are not, right. We are closer eyes on our children. And so when you said Benjamin Button, that kind of resonated with me, because we think about our aging population. And I mean, I'm 48. I am forgetting some things. And so I think about the people who need to have additional support. And so we should book in the support. We should fully staff it, book in the support, give them a really good wage. And because I'm fine with my tax dollars going to that, because guess what? I might need it at some point. We'll all need care. That's the thing. We'll all need care. Why do we not care now?
Exactly. Well, because we're afraid. That's why. Because no one wants. It's a lot of la 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 la. We're not going to get older. We don't want to look at it. It's scary. It's scary. Let's face it. It is scary.
It's death.
It's death. It's death. I was so afraid of. I've always been afraid of dying. And more than anything, Mom and I had a pact. She wasn't going to die. I'm not going to die. That's for other people, right?
Right.
Well, I had to step up and be there for my mom, and it was the greatest lesson I've ever had, you know. And the night before she died, I said, "You taught me how to live, and now you've taught me how to die." And she did it with dignity, and that's all I wanted was dignity and quality of whatever time she had left. And I thought that she deserved it, and we all pay for it, by the way. We pay for it. And so when I say this is my mother's story, it may be my mom's story. It's really all of our stories.
It is.
Because God willing, we get older.
It's our mom's story, Susie.
Yes.
It's our mom's story. Because I walk a fine line on how much I've spoken to the ombudsman in Tennessee about care that our mom gets, and the fine line for people, because JJ knows I am in charge of all things regulation and advocacy, but I know that no matter what, I walk a fine line on how much I can hold them accountable to regulations and them not being it, because they can kick my mom out and say, I can't medically meet her needs any longer, and we're going to put her 2 hours away from where her mom, where any of our family is. And then my mom becomes more isolated. We have less eyes on her. And so, I mean, we pay for someone to come in because we're long distance caregivers. We pay for someone to come in and make sure her teeth are brushed and she gets out of bed and she has a shower and she sees the outdoors like the way she needs. And it's not that everybody in the facility is bad, but when our mom says, like, I really just enjoy Kathy. We love you, Kathy. And Kathy takes her to CVS. Kathy takes her to go get a frosty.
Right.
Like, it's the little things. Like, she goes
it's
down.
It's the little things.
And so
it's
but it makes me so mad because I'm like, why are we having to do this? Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be this way.
And what if someone can't afford it, Natalie? If you can't afford to sit, right? If you can't afford it and Medicaid doesn't pay for that. And so if you have paid down your money and you only can use Medicaid, like which happened to my mom,
absolutely.
When you have Alzheimer's for, 16 years, that happens. And so, and they want to build the most they can off of you. This is not the nursing homes. Get me straight. Let's get this straight. This is the owners. Yeah. These are the owners, and they have to answer to their owners. And so that is why you're going to get, I got put off 8 weeks before my mom even saw a wound doctor. And that was only because me. And I am a nice person. Like, I never got angry. I was just consistent. The retaliation is awful.
There is retaliation if you're not careful.
And I was persona non grata. When I walked in, I felt icy, it was like frozen, it was terrible. And, to the point where they were like, you can't be in the room when we change her. What? I'm her guardian. I am her legal guardian.
Good try.
And I couldn't, but guess what? I had to walk out because if I didn't, it was going to get worse. And what's going to happen when I'm not there?
That's
when I
the
had to go
fine
home and
line.
sleep.
Yeah.
The ombudsman in Tennessee told me that there's one person for 2,000 individuals.
That's right. That's right.
1 to 2,000. So when I said regs, that includes the ombudsman. And people, if you don't know who an ombudsman is, these are individuals who are responsible for advocating for the patient. It is 100% patient right. And the guy was so sweet. And he said, I really know, and I'm going to do as much as I can. I said, look, man, I ran facilities. I've seen how people can try to trick the system. I know how they can not do things in charts. And I'm like, I need somebody in there. And, and he said, we've asked for more. We've asked for more. And that's the thing. The ombudsman, the regulators, they'll ask for more, but states have to allocate FTEs, which is full-time employees, to this. Right. So it's really, so I know we're talking a lot. This got really serious, and that's totally fine because it needs to be.
It needs to be serious. And here's the thing, the lobby, we're up against a lobby, and the lobby has no scruples, and they've embedded themselves in our legislature. They have seats at the table. They pay great, millions of dollars to our politicians' campaigns, and our politicians are indebted to them. And so if they say don't pass this is why traditional advocacy hasn't worked, because of the lobby that's in place. Yeah. And so I will need to hire a bodyguard soon, and that's what's going to happen. No, but honestly, guys, and I wouldn't know any of this. Can I just say this to you? And I'm a really good caregiver. I'm proud of what I've done. I wouldn't have known any of this if I didn't have Rick Montcastle on my podcast. After watching him be portrayed on Hulu's miniseries Dope Sick, because he was the lead prosecutor, and Peter Sarsgaard plays him when he was taking down Purdue Pharma for OxyContin. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a frog in my throat. Sorry.
You're totally fine. We can edit that. Yeah, of course we can. Of course we can.
So, and at the very last episode of Dope Sick, and I know I'm jumping all around, his neck, they tipped off his next case, which was another pharmaceutical, which was Abbott Labs, which off-marketed Depakote to nursing homes. And Depakote is an opiate that shouldn't be given, and it's a black label drug. Well, they were giving it to my mom, and I had no idea until her doctor, like 6 months after they'd been giving it to her, told me that she was on this drug that was a black label drug. I thought that this was 8 years before she died. That's what put her in a wheelchair. I thought that she was progressing. No, it was the Depakote. So I asked Rick to come on my show. When I told him what was going on with my mom in 2022, he said, "This is not just your mom and her facility. This is a systemic crisis. I've been prosecuting nursing homes for 20 years for fraud and neglect abuse, and I haven't seen any changes. It is as it's ever been." And he was just retiring in June of that year of 2022, and he said, when I told him I was going to do a documentary, he said, "I'm throwing my hat in the ring. I can help you with this." And that's where I started to learn really what was going on behind closed doors, the business model and all of that stuff. So I realized, okay, I did the best I could do, as most people do, and that I wasn't crazy, and that people were telling me, like the ombudsmen who are basically toothless, and it's not to their fault, they're just toothless.
It's the way that regs are set up. They don't have the authority that they need.
I mean, so. I had when my mom, they moved her into hospice too soon. She wasn't ready for hospice, but they just wanted to medicate her because it was easier. They didn't have to feed her. They didn't, right? And so, and I had the chaplain come in and say, your mom it's okay because she has Alzheimer's. She has holes in her brain. She doesn't know what's going on. Don't worry about it. I'm like, well, then why don't we just kill her? Because why is she laying in bed for months and months? This is not a life.
Wow.
And so one of the head ombudsmen from their association in Connecticut, who we interviewed, said, when you get a license to take care of people in a nursing home, that is your job. We are not warehousing people, folks. And that is what we are.
Wow.
We are warehousing people and billing and taking the money that should be allocated to their care and quality of life and buying really expensive homes and bathtubs.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Because we're going to jump here in just a second. I think this is so important, the conversation that we've had. What's your advice? If somebody's listening here and they're feeling like, I feel like that too. I feel like that, or I feel frustrated. I feel helpless. I feel guilty. All the things that we feel when we can't do something. What would you say is a thing that individuals could do to try to move the
Now.
needle?
Right. So we are starting a movement, a people over profit movement. And we think, and I feel this with all my heart, like Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and Me Too movement. We need a grassroots movement because traditional advocacy hasn't worked. And that's what we're going to do with the release of this film, is to start that so that we can really pull the curtain back, tell our politicians, we know how the business model works. Let's get real, shame them into doing the right thing, and really, expose it. We have to do that. We have to do it because it won't change enough. We need to move. A little needle move isn't enough, because I'm here to tell you, I saw things that I can never unsee. And I think that you don't want to go through that. But while we're here and we haven't changed it, if you cannot, you have to have someone watching over your loved one. You cannot assume they're being taken care of. I promise you, look at their body, check them out. If they don't have a voice, if they can't speak for themselves, you have to be their eyes and ears and mouth. You have to. And that's unfair to us as caregivers. It's too much responsibility, and we're not getting paid for it. And these people are, but they're not able to do their job because they're not, the money's not going to them. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. Do the best you can. I know if you're there and you're feeling frustrated, then you're doing the best you can. Don't worry about them not liking you. It's part of it. You can't help that, because it's about the one that you love. And go with your instinct. If you think something is wrong, it probably is. It probably is wrong. And I saw that all through those 6 months. And that's it. A No Country for Old People is going to be a revelation. It has to be. It's a revolution. It's a movement. And we can't be afraid. We're going to get older. We're going to get older and still do hip hop at 90. Who gives a shit, right?
We're going to sing.
We're going to sing. But we can't if we can't get good care.
Yeah.
And if there's ageism, we got to knock that out. There's, we're on the spectrum. We're all on this road. And, how old do you guys feel? I always feel like I'm 23. Always.
Yes.
I mean,
much younger than I am.
Younger.
Okay.
Although my knees don't feel that way.
Sometimes 13. Sometimes in my head, it depends on what I'm doing. But come on, we don't feel different when we're older, right? Every year, do you feel any different? We don't. Maybe our knees a little bit. But but honestly, inside we are who we are. And we get one life. Let's make it, if we're going to live longer, let's make it quality. And let's not be afraid. I'm telling you, I was a scaredy cat, and I'm not now.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
We have to take it into our own hands. It's not going to change from the top down, folks. Natalie, you're such a good voice for this because you've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think, we need you. We need people like you to say, I've been there. I know how it works. And I can't wait for you to see the whole project, because all of the experts, you'll go, yep. Because we spoke to,
we see it on the children's side, because we see it in the children's side there, and it's just different population. That's why it's people do better. And we know this, when you can age in place and you can age in the home and community. And that's why the feds are putting more dollars behind supports in the home and community.
We need that.
And you know what? Our mom's in a skilled nursing facility. We just can't. And Susie, your mom was in one. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't enough support. There's not enough dollars. And here's the thing. I could have all the money in the world and I can't find the staff. And that's why we're looking to do something different. And so I'm going to tell you,
oh, bless your heart.
We got some different stuff going on, and it's going to be real interesting. So I'm going to tell you,
I'm excited.
It's coming.
No, please keep me involved with everything that you do on that end, because I'm passionate about it, and I'm really loud about it. And yes, I've had a lot of people that don't understand, like, because I've been trying to do as much, social media reach so people can understand and say, well, I wouldn't have taken my mom and put her in there. Why didn't you just take her home if she was suffering? People don't understand. You can't take someone home with that acuity.
No.
You can't.
No,
right,
you can't.
guys?
Well, and I'm not going to be judged until you come in. Come on in. You can and see it. Yep. Walk in our shoes. And so I won't be judged. So our care, and this is the thing, Susie, and it's very clear for you too. Our care didn't end when our mom went into the skilled nursing facility.
No.
It just changed.
That's right.
It just changed how we care for our mom. And so,
that's right.
And just understand. So caregiving doesn't really end. And so anyway, well, Susie, thank you.
I love you guys so much. Thank
you. You are so wonderful. Jay, do you have any last words since you didn't get to talk at all?
Well, I know it was, but that's normal for me. As soon as the film is out, we will let everyone know. We are super excited. Susie will be doing lots of announcements and stuff. So we will let everyone know. We'll keep everybody posted. But as Natalie says, until we confess again,
we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.